Okay, our beloveds, today we shall return back to our norm. You're seeing how in these days there are more highs and lows. In the past, you perceived almost a flat line, meaning what you saw was your norm. You either saw to a certain extent all good days or all bad days, or just some kind of a static line with very little variation. Every now and then you would have a blip, but then you would return to your norm. And it was your simple way of seeing life through your prism. Your reaction is what matters more than the actual underlying event. However, that was when life was in somewhat of a static pattern, which means that there were very few upsets to those of you who had constantly pleasant lives. But now there are a lot more little upsets, a lot more little outliers, and you're having to figure out how to respond to them, how to react to them, how to deal with them, because all of those triggers from your childhood that you had stuffed down to be ignored and avoided and overlooked, well, they're bubbling up now to be seen. That means that you can no longer pretend that they don't exist. So here's what we can tell you about where you find yourselves now, regardless of which end of the spectrum you find yourself at. These past traumas are asking to be healed. When a stressor arises in your life, how do you react or respond? How do you handle it? Do you get mad, frustrated, pissed off, angry, violent because something is upsetting your sense of calm or peace or rhythm of life or something like that? Or do you just simply embrace it and say, okay, let's move through this today? Our another had such an issue arise today, and our another was a trooper and said, okay, let me get my hands dirty and see if I can figure this out. She and a friend did everything that they could to resolve the issue, but when technical difficulties arose, she went to Plan B and called a professional to come out and repair it. And whether or not she fixed it or not was not nearly as important as the fact that she did not go into a victim mindset of, oh my God, here is another tragedy that I have to deal with today. And instead she said, okay, let's see if I can fix this, save money, learn a new skill, understand how this works, how the mechanics works, and she learned enough of it to learn that she has some competency in exploring and resolving underlying issues. She is good at troubleshooting. She is good at learning on the fly and understanding the mechanics of things, and it honestly takes her back to her childhood when her dad would teach her certain things, and she was still curious enough to follow through on the process of repair. And now in this day of everybody hiring somebody or throwing things away, it's not a skill that you oftentimes get to implement, but today she decided to do what she could, and it really was fun. And she bonded with a Facebook friend as they were using the Messenger app to work through the underlying issue. So now, why is that of any relevance? Because our another didn't get frustrated about the fact that her device broke down, nor did she ultimately get upset about the fact that she has to pay to have it repaired. It simply is what it is, and she's got to do what she's got to do. She's got bigger fish to fry that are on her horizon that we have shared with her that she is now working towards. And this was a small side issue, and there was no point in getting upset about something that just simply is part of or goes with home ownership. Older items break down and need to be fixed or replaced. It's that simple. So now, here is your takeaway from this message today. When those glitches in life arise, and it can be as simple as a person cutting you off while you're driving down the road, how do you respond or react? Do you curse? Do you get angry at the person for being a bad driver or thoughtless or whatever the negative responses that you either yell out in your car or say silently in your head? Or do you have an appreciation or space of gratitude? Well, I'm thankful that that person didn't hit me or I didn't hit them. Or, gosh, I give them the grace that I would want somebody to give me when something like this happens. How do you respond from a gracious, kind space of appreciation and forgiveness and grace? Or do you go into an angry space? Just remember right now that the energies are heightened, and you will attract to you 100-fold or 1,000-fold of the energies that you put out to remind you that energy is there. It does exist in reality, though you can't see it. It's no different than gravity. And how you react to the world's events that occur will determine what future events you attract or draw to you. And for those of you who do not believe in what we call the, quote, law of attraction, unquote, it is not so much that you say, I want a new bike or I want a red Ferrari, and then it manifests on your doorstep. It is more a matter of what you put out, you attract back to you. If you put out nastiness, you will attract experiences to you that will give you an opportunity to remove that nasty response from your reaction menu that you choose from when something upsets you, or when you wish to control someone, or when there are things that you are dissatisfied with. So when you choose from your menu of options, it reinforces that menu option. So if you're unkind, we will give you more opportunities to either step out of that unkind paradigm or to repeat that unkind behavior, thereby attracting more of those experiences. It's just like water dripping. If the water is dripping, and it is dripping on your head, it's going to continue dripping on your head until you either fix the drip or just turn the knob off. And if you don't, then it will continue to drip, and with time the drip will get bigger and bigger and bigger and faster and faster and faster until the whole system fails and it is literally gushing on your forehead to get you to fix the washer, to fix the leak. And it is that simple. We want to express and explain to you how this law of attraction works. You are attracting more of what you are. And it may not be the same thing, meaning that if you are a kind, passive person who is in a position where they need to learn to stand up for themselves, you will have more people that continue to oppress you to a certain extent until you finally take that shoe off of your neck and say, I'm done with this, and stand up for yourself as well as others like you. The lessons are not easy, to navigate, nor are they necessarily easy to even discern the why and the how of it. But we can tell you that whatever you experience that doesn't feel good is here to challenge you to approach it differently. Our another can help to tell you exactly where those lessons are, but for those who wish to navigate their journey on their own, just figure out what it is that you keep doing that allows that. If you say, I'm a nice person and people take advantage of me, it's because you don't have boundaries. When somebody takes advantage of you, it means that your needs are not being met in some sense. And you could, right in that moment, stand up to that person and say, I do not care for what you just did. You made me feel bad. You overstepped my boundaries. Whatever it is, but the majority of you do not do that and instead absorb that negative energy of, why do people keep treating me this way? Because you're not speaking up. Learn to speak up and set healthy boundaries so that you can protect your own energy field. And it is difficult. And you will find that the more you stand up for yourself in little ways, the less you have to do it in the future, because just by the way that you stand and walk and talk and dress yourself, you will literally embody a greater sense of strength. And those bullies, those people who take advantage of others or who manipulate others, when they see you just physically standing there, they will know not to mess with you because you will give off, exude an energy of confidence. They look for those people who appear weak. It is how you stand, how you dress, how you present, how you talk, how you walk. There are so many cues that these types of manipulative people have learned to tune into, and you can either just avoid them altogether, or you can learn to grow into becoming a stronger person so that you don't need to hide from the world. The world will simply treat you differently. And it doesn't mean that you are to blame by any means. It means that these people are intentionally taking advantage of you. And once you realize that, you can simply tell these people, don't fuck with me. And they will back off. The meek and the mild don't say that, and therefore allow others to continue to beat them over the head because they just shrivel up and die and lay there. And these abusers, they see you as a ready and willing victim. So show them that you are stepping out of your construct. And it is hard. It is hard work. It's hard to learn new patterns and habits when this is all you have known for most of your life. But you can, and you start off in small and safe relationships where you learn to navigate the process. And when you feel more confident, then the world will bring you slightly bigger arenas and slightly bigger arenas. And before you know it, you're like Muhammad Ali, punching somebody out in the ring. You can do it. You just need to believe in yourself. Step outside of the cycle of whatever it is that you're in and become a different and better version of you. And better in the sense of it is more authentic to who you desire to be and not the construct and restraints that others are putting upon you. Find your inner voice, be authentically you, and be proud. And therein you will find your solution. So this is our little PSA today for those who are interested in growing. And for those of you who are not, this message won't guide you today, but the energetic imprint that is out in the ether will be available at any time for you to connect to, should you desire to grow in this particular area. That is how it works. It goes into the Akashic Google records. And when you have a question, you can download these answers or guidance steps and so it is. Namaste.